Hey everybody, it's Gabriel again. On this video, I want to cover how do you handle high highs and low lows. I just did a video, actually, speaking to one of our businesses where we have a very large organization. And actually, on that particular one, I literally send regular emails out to over 74,000 people a week, right? And encouraging them, motivating them on various subjects. Well, as I had finished that, I thought, hold on, I'll just switch camera angles so it doesn't look exactly the same. And I will talk to you guys about this also critical subject about how you manage highs and lows. We have a huge event coming up, and that's what I was addressing. That's going to be announcing some very, very incredible news. And many times, the folks that here at the field, the organization, when they get that information, they are really high, and they get back home, back to the familiar, back to everything that they know and everything that knows them. And sometimes, as I said in the video, as soon as they pull in the driveway, here's familiar, and it immediately reduces their excitement back to the predictable routine, right? And so I want to deal with that in any endeavor you're dealing with in life. Now, one of the big things is this idea of being motivated. Okay, I've heard people say you can't be motivated. There's no such thing as motivation. It has to come from the inside. It does have to come from the inside, but you know how it gets in the inside? From the outside. You have to hear it. You have to see it. Then you have to say it. You hear it more, you see it more, you say it more, and it goes down, down, down. At that point, it mixes with your spirit. And once the thing conceives, once it clicks, once it snaps, once the mind gets renewed with the truth enough through repetitive consistency, you're able to say things and not feel like you're a liar, like you're deceiving yourself, like you're just saying something but you have no real conviction. It's not real. Many of you know exactly what I'm saying. You say things, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, but it's just words. There's no power in it. So once a thing is heard enough, seen enough, and then said enough, and it conceives, then you have power. There's an amazing analogy that I love. It's sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow the character, you'll reap your destiny. Thoughts become actions. Actions become habits. Habits, right, sow a thought. Well, hold on, let's do that again. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. The result is because of thoughts. And as the thoughts got deeper into the conception process, they eventually manifested the circumstances. Where you are today with the mindset you have today is because of the thoughts, the character, the actions, the habit, the thoughts that happened yesterday and yesterdays ago. That is why, does motivation work? It absolutely works. It works big time. Why do you think coaches, right? Well, it works until the person is changed. But you have to be submitted to it long enough to allow the change to occur. What happens is most people get motivated, hear motivation, go to an event, get coaching, go to some seminar, go to a mastermind, spend money, find experts, all the stuff that people do to get information. And yet, because of pride or familiarity or frustration because they can't see it happen fast enough, or they're not able to transact it from the ideas of motivation into it actually working, they get frustrated, they quit, and they say, oh, that stuff doesn't work. And you don't see that happen in sports. Sports are one of the best examples, right? You take a football coach, baseball coach, basketball coach, hockey coach, you name the sport, right? And does the coach one time at the beginning of the season, during the practice season, say, hey, here's some motivating things, you guys go for it, and then stand there and watch them figure it out? Not hardly. What a coach does is as soon as he sees something good, he says, fantastic. He reiterates it. Then he says, here's how you can do it even better. Or he says, that is wrong. Let's address it now. Let's cut the head off the thing and let's deal with it and deal with the roots of it so you never have to fall into that trap again, right? They're merciless with the errors, but they do it they upbraid you, but then they edify you. So it's hard, but it's loving, right? And the biggest thing about motivation is people do it once in a while. You do it once in a while. I'm saying you because I've done that. I have selectively allowed myself to be motivated over long periods of time with lots of life and familiar in the middle of it. And life and the familiar and the demands of life can't compete with an occasional sprinkle of motivation. It can't do it. Are you reading motivational material every day? Answer that question. If you're not, you're hurting yourself. Are you listening to and watching motivational stuff every day? I don't care if it's 5 minutes. I suggest getting up in the morning and starting your day with it. It's a good way to lay the foundation of the day. But even if you have to pepper it through the day, how many of you are doing that? Answer that question. How many of you hang around edifying, uplifting, powerful, victorious people that are actually changing, and you see them constantly getting better and better and increasing their life experience? How many of you are around those people or have put yourself in the proximity of people like that? Or are you around the armchair quarterbacks, the people with all the opinions, right? The family and the friends, the familiarity. Heck, sometimes it's even very close family members that you just have to say, you know what? I love you like crazy. You don't have to tell them this. But what I have is way too important than to share it with somebody that's going to take it and just squash it and stomp on it. You cannot go where you are tolerated. You need to go where you're celebrated. Find people that encourage you, love you, motivate you, that they openly share bits of wisdom with you. Life is the battle of the two dogs. I've told this story on other videos, but back in the Old West, there was one of the native tribes had a guy that had they used to do dog fighting back in the day. And this particular story, there was an old rancher that would constantly go to these dog fights, and look, this is the story. Okay, I'm not advocating anything, but so the rancher would watch consistently, right? People would come from all over the region to watch these fights, and every single time the owners of the dogs would bet on a particular dog, because they also bet that particular animal would win, right? They didn't fight to the death. It was just and there was a stopping point. And then the other one, then a week or two later, they'd come back to another one, and another dog would win, and another dog would win, and another dog. So it didn't matter what the owners of the dog bet on. Didn't matter what dog they bet on, that dog always won. And eventually, people got wise to it, and so the story goes, they asked, and they said, well, how are you doing this? You guys are cleaning up, you're going through, and everybody bets, and they put all their money on this animal because it looks this way, but then you always bet it on this one, and yet you take everybody's money. How are you doing this? And as the story goes, and I'm sure I'm not telling it totally accurately, but I know the ending point, the owner said, it's the dog that I feed the most. The one I feed always wins. The one I starve always loses. And all he would do was not feed it for a day to weaken it. Didn't starve it. It wasn't an emaciated animal. So that's the key. It wasn't emaciated. It was just starved enough for the other one to have an advantage. And if you simply every single day starve, just a little bit here and there, starve motivation, starve your ability to hear truth, starve your ability to make it a point to be around entrepreneurial-minded people and people that are changing. I mean, people that drive different cars, live in different houses, do different businesses, are living larger. Because all that stuff, not to be shallow, but you don't get that stuff because you're a clown. That stuff doesn't just happen because of accident, right? Success is not accidental. It is not. I find myself always stretching to be around really big thinking people, really big thinking content, really big thinking materials. And it stretches me. Then when all the noise of the life happens and somebody's opinion or somebody that I value has something to say, or a circumstance happens, or a financial circumstance happens, or news that is contrary to what I would like ideally to happen comes up, it doesn't have any power to knock me off. I win because I starve the other stuff and I feed the other stuff. Does that make sense? I know it does. I know you need to hear this. What are you feeding? Are you feeding scrolling on social media? Are you hanging around people that just want to hang out the evenings and have profane mouths and have profane jokes and live profane lives and just, have opinions and are gossips and backbiters? And do you watch nonsense shows and binge watch stuff that isn't going to help you one iota in your life at all? It's entertaining, it's numbing. I'm not saying I don't understand. I'm just saying that stuff will eventually, it feels good initially because it just meets a need, but then it absolutely leaves you empty and dead. And then guess what? You actually become like what you absorb, what you ingest, what you eat, and what you familiarize yourself with. If you want your business, your life, your marriage, your relationships, and everything in your life to change, make it a point, come hell or high water, to spend every day a few minutes absorbing strong, battle-hardened content that rips through circumstances and contrary circumstances and fortifies you even to the point of being uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable because it is so big, it is so strong, it is so direct, you'll give yourself the greatest gift in the world. It's really unfortunate these days that people are afraid to be confronted with anything. They hide, tuck tail, and run. Get away from me, ban you, block you, whatever people say these days, right? They can't handle, and you'll find that the person just cocoons themselves in their mindset, their belief system, what they're into, their habits, the microcosm culture that they find themselves identifying with because there's familiarity there, right? And you find that it ends up being destructive. I've seen more people destroyed because they can't and they won't choose to put strong truth before them that stretches every single factor of their lives. And all they had to do was just eat a little bit of it every day, guys. I'm not saying surgically remove yourself from everything you know in life and everything you do in life and do only things that are totally different than that. Rare few people can do that, but every day you can add a little more and a little more and a little more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and your mindset will change and your health will change and your belief systems will change and your the self-sabotage will go away. You'll love yourself more, etc. And what happens is suddenly you go, you know what? I don't even like the life I had before. Why did I waste any time in it? There is a big world out there with amazing people doing amazing things, changing the world. And I've allowed myself to get stuck in a tiny little rut that, honestly, if something doesn't change 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, you'd be in the same place, many times even in a more challenging position. I know that is why you guys subscribed and opted into these videos, because you are like me. You want this truth. You want life spoken over you. You want to have resources and tools that can make a difference. And so that is why I share this stuff. Again, don't forget to go to my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, ring the notifications bell. I'm always throwing content on there. Sometimes it's mixed content that deals with business or personal motivation. Sometimes it's vehicles, because my kids are into vehicles and I love cars too. Sometimes it's dealing with people in home-based businesses. There's all kinds of beautiful stuff in there under multiple categories, where all of these nuggets that I have there will help immensely. It just will. All right, I've worked for myself over 30 years, and I've had to hatchet opinions, belief systems, my own limitations over and over and over and over and over again until you get the root, and then the stuff doesn't grow anymore. Remember, the dog you feed wins, the dog you starve doesn't. Hope this is encouraging. Heck, it's encouraging to me to even say it. See you guys in the next video. Bye.